Got to work on an AC system, and I figured I'd take you guys along, so let's get to work. This is what we're working on today, a 2012 Honda Pilot. The complaint on this one is that it's not cooling quite as well as it should be inside when the AC is running. And I verified that. It works, but it's not great, especially if you're sitting at a stoplight or you're standing there idling. It doesn't work very good. It works, but not great. If you're out on the highway and running a bunch of air through the condenser, it works pretty darn good. So that could be an indication of low refrigerant. I don't believe that this system has been worked on for at least 5 or 6 years. And a lot of times, even if the system is perfectly sealed, after about 5 or 6 years, you'll lose enough refrigerant. Well, you'll notice stuff like that. Like when you're sitting at a stoplight, it doesn't work quite as well, or idling, things like that. As you can see, I already have the gauges hooked up. I did have it running for a couple minutes, so I checked, made sure we do have refrigerant pressure in there. They're equalizing, and they're equalizing slowly, so that's a good sign. And that's why they don't show the same exact pressure, even though the system's off right now. We're still equalizing. So I'll bring you along, and I'll show you a couple things I look for when I see symptoms like this. Now, although I don't suspect that we have an actual leak, at least one that needs to be fixed, it's never a bad idea to take our little sniffers here and see if we can find any refrigerant leaks. Now, I already did that, but in case you didn't know how to do this stuff, we just turn our unit on. We can set the sensitivity where we want it, and then we just take this tip, bring it across all the areas where we think we might have leaks, and listen for it to change and tell us that we have a leak. We want it to be no more than about 1/4 inch away from the suspected areas, and we don't want to move too fast. We only want to go no more than 1 or 2 inches a second. So we can just bring it across and just check of all of our suspicious areas, like around here, around the compressor down there, our lines, especially rubber lines where they meet metal like this. We can check all these and see if there's any leaks, and I didn't find anything. And so I'm going to turn the system on. We'll see what the temperatures are inside. Alright, I got the AC on. I have 2 thermometers in here because I want to see the temperature on this half and this half, because we do have a dual climate system. So we'll let that stabilize for a few minutes. While we're waiting for the temperatures to stabilize, one thing we want to verify is that both of our cooling fans in there are operating right now. We want to make sure that both of them are coming on when the AC is on. If those are not both coming on, that will give us the symptoms that we're experiencing of not having good cooling while it's not being driven, or stationary, I should say. So I can see that one's working, and I can see that one over there is actually working. So both of our fans are working, but that's definitely an area where you want to look. If one or both of those fans are not working, that's definitely going to cause your AC to not work well when you're stationary or idling and just sitting there. Alright, I just gave it a couple minutes real quick just to see how it looks. And we can see this one's kind of sitting at 75 degrees over here, and this one is sitting at 63. So with about 11-12 degrees difference between the two, that is a good indication either that we have a problem with our blend door, the passenger blend door or the driver blend door, or we have a low refrigerant issue. Because the refrigerant, when it comes across, basically it's evaporating from this side to this side down there. And when we have low refrigerant, it's going to hit this side first, so this side's going to be cooler. If there's not enough refrigerant in the system, well, this side over here is the one that's going to suffer. And so that's what it's looking like right now. Now we can verify that. What we can do, we got the sink on, so we'll turn it over to hot. And what we want to do, we want to see both of these start to go up. We want to feel heat. Now I can immediately feel heat here, and I can feel it getting hot here. And both of these are rising pretty fast. So I don't think that we have an issue with the blend door. We can turn it back and watch our temperatures drop. And it looks like they went up evenly and came down evenly. This one's a little bit hotter on this side really quick, but they're close enough where I'm not too worried about it. And that could just be because we have the AC system on, And there's, if it is low refrigerant, this side's going to be a little cooler than this side with the AC on. So we'll let those stabilize again. Okay, that's close enough for now. Now what I want to do is I want to see just this side go up. We'll turn that all the way to high or hot. I just want to see this one go up, and I want to see that one kind of stay the same. Now there may be a little bit of a bleed over back there, but this should stay fairly close to where it is, and this one should start going up in temperature. And we are, and I can feel it getting hot. So I don't think there's any issue with our blend doors. I think we're good to go there. This definitely is looking like a classic low refrigerant issue. So let's go outside and look at the gauges. Alright, looking at our high side, looks like it's at about 245, right in there. Looking at our low side, what is that, 41, 42-ish, right in there. So I would definitely like to see that down a little bit closer to 30 or so. But, you know, these are not ridiculously off from where they should be. It always depends on the temperature, you know, in the shop, how much refrigerant's in there, and things like that. The load that's being placed on the system right at that time, that will greatly vary, you know, especially your high side. Whether those fans go on high or low or turn off can change this pressure. So there are variables to look for. You can't just look at the pressure and just say, yeah, that's too high or too low immediately, because there are some variables that can throw things out of whack. But I think what we'll do, we'll shut everything down, we'll go ahead and recover the refrigerant, we'll put it under a vacuum, then we'll do a leak test, we'll inject oil, this machine can do it all, and then we'll put the proper amount of refrigerant back in, and then we'll see if there's a difference. And running this thing inside the shop for a few minutes, it's 102 degrees, and this vehicle was already hot because it was sitting out in the heat. All right, let's look at our before numbers. So we were right at about 74, 75 right here on this side. And on this side, 62.2, it was just 62.4 a second ago. So what, about 12 degrees or so difference from this side to this side. Definitely an indication that we probably have a low refrigerant issue. Not a ton, you know, low, but just enough where, you know, it shows up like this. So those are our before numbers, so we'll check them with our after numbers and see the difference. All right, in order to recover the refrigerant and then charge it back up, we need to know what kind of system we're working on. In this case, we look for a sticker like this one. We can see that it's an R134A system, or HFC 134A. And we can see our maximum and minimum amounts of refrigerant that's supposed to be in here. 0.600 kilograms is the minimum, 0.650 kilograms is the max, and there's the equivalent in ounces, 21 to 22 ounces. So not a huge amount for these systems. And of course on Hondas, we're always going to want to charge it to the maximum side, which is 0.650 kilograms. So we're going to go over to the machine, we'll recover the old refrigerant, and then put it under a vacuum. We'll wait till Gnarly Harley goes by. We'll put it under a vacuum, do a leak test, and then we'll recharge it with the proper amount. Also, we need to know what kind of oil is in here. And of course, they say synthetic PAG oil specifically designed for this. Well, these Hondas use PAG 46. They use a specific manufacturer, Denso or Nippon Denso. But what those are, it's a double end capped PAG 46, which means it's got, you know, some additional things done to it so that it's resistant to attracting moisture. So it's good stuff. So I don't buy the Honda stuff. I use this premium PAG 46 oil. So that's what we're going to be injecting back into the system. This machine will measure whatever we take out, and then we'll automatically inject the oil back into the system, whatever we took out. Alright, so we're going to do the auto feature. So I can just go have lunch or whatever and let this thing do its work. And vacuum, we're going to do 60 minutes. We want to make sure we get all moisture out of the system. We'll go ahead and do a leak test. And our charge, we said, is going to be 006 or 0.650 kilograms. We're not going to inject any additional oil. We're not going to inject dye because I don't think we have a leak, at least not enough to fix it. We're going to charge it on the high side. This machine can do that. And then Our oil, we're going to do PAG 46. I already have it loaded up into the machine. And so we'll just double check, 0.650, 0.650. Alright, we should be good to go. Now we're not going to take a snapshot. We already did our snapshot. I showed you everything. So we'll just let it clear everything and then do its thing. And we just finished up the vacuum. Now we'll go ahead and do a leak test. And now we're charging it back up. It also injected oil, but it did it so fast that I missed it on camera. And now that it's charged, we can go ahead and fire it up and see how it looks. Alright, we'll turn it on max AC. And we'll turn these back on. And we'll let it stabilize for a few minutes and see what it's looking like. Alright, I let the temperature stabilize and you can see we're at about 54 degrees and we're blowing the same across both sides. So that looks like we have a confirmed fix. We don't have that 12-degree difference across both sides. And we're blowing much cooler than it was before. So it definitely appears that this system was a little bit low on refrigerant, and I think we fixed it. And blowing 54 just sitting in the shop, when it's 102 in the shop, that's not bad. Looking at our high side pressure, we're a little over 250, maybe 253, 254 right in there. And our low side, we're sitting right about 40. Just a second ago it was 39. So our pressures are very close to where they were before. So we can't go just by pressures alone and trying to determine whether there's an issue, because these are very close to where we had it before. But we have to remember that AC refrigerant is relative to the temperature around it. So it's really hot in the shop today, and so it's not, uncommon for this pressure, especially on the low side, to be a little higher. If it was cool in here, we'd probably get it a little closer to 30. But we showed inside, the vent temps show that we have confirmed a fix, so we can't always go just by looking at these gauges here. Alright, now we have to equalize the hoses. So basically all I have to do is close off the high side service port. So I just got to close this off like that. So now we're disconnected from the system on this line. We've already started the AC, it's still running. And now it will equalize the hoses. And now the hoses are equal, so I can close everything up and turn off the vehicle. And right as I shut it down, we're blowing at about 53. Alright, both valves are shut off. Now we can disconnect. This one might pop. Like that. Make sure to put our caps back on. This is actually your primary seal, so make sure these go back on. Now the machine will recover the refrigerant that's inside those hoses. Alright, let's look at our final numbers. It looks like we recovered 0.462 kilograms of refrigerant, and we know that there should have been 0.650 kilograms inside the system, so it's a little bit short. That looks like, what is that, 0.18 something kilograms, so about a little over 6 ounces short. That's enough for us to see issues on these systems, especially when it gets this hot out. We recovered 4 milliliters of oil, We vacuumed it and passed the test. We injected 5 milliliters of oil, and that's probably because it was probably like 4.6 milliliters, so it rounded it up. And we charge it on the high side. This machine is capable of charging it on the high side, but it's not uncommon to lose just a little bit of refrigerant like this, a few ounces, 1 or 2 ounces a year, you know, and after 5 or 6 years, you've lost 5 or 6 ounces, and it shows up, and then you have to recharge the system. Even though, you know, everything is working properly, you could replace every single, you know, hose and O-ring on the system, and you'd still lose probably an ounce every single year. At least out here in the desert, that's what I see. So I'm not worried about a leak. I know we have a confirmed fix, and this is a normal operation, at least out here. Well, looks like we got a confirmed fix. Due to the environment that these AC systems have to work in, it's not uncommon to lose just a little bit of refrigerant every year, even on a perfectly operating system. And so at some point, eventually, they do need to be recharged. And it's a good idea, you know, evacuate it, and that way you can put it under a vacuum, get any moisture out of the system, which can cause it to not work properly or freeze up, and then get the proper amount charged back in. And it's really difficult to do that without a dedicated machine like the one I showed you. Just trying to top them off and try to put 5 or 6 ounces in this, and you'd have to guess that that's how much it would take. That is usually a losing proposition. I've seen more compressors lately destroyed because they were hit with too much refrigerant. You put too much refrigerant in these small systems, and next thing you know, you blew up your compressor, and now you got major repairs. Instead of paying somebody like me, you know, a couple $100 to do this service, you'll pay somebody like me thousands of dollars to replace everything and then do the same service I just showed you. So it's up to you whether you want to use those small cans or not. If you do, try to stay away from the ones with the stop seal or the seal, you know, leak preventer crap in there. Just use pure refrigerant. Don't use anything with you know, sealing and stuff like that, because it ruins my machines, because I won't touch it. If you bring it in and say I put that stuff in there, I'm not going to touch it, because I don't want to ruin my $5,000-$6,000 AC machine. So now you know what I know. And as always, if the video helped you out or you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.